I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, June the 27th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Big day in Joplin here today on Monday. Got their yearling special. They're expecting 10,000 head of cattle with at least 100 straight loads of green grass yearling feeders right there, guys. Where are you going to find them? Going to be on those yearlings, those loads of yearlings by 9 o'clock a.m. So if you guys are interested in them or just want to watch them, be sure to tune in to dvauction.com. If you want to bid on there and you haven't done it before, you need to get a hold of them before the sale so they can get you approved. But big sale in Joplin with their yearling special here today on Monday. Don't forget the Big Bang primetime livestock video through Joplin Stockyards there that's going to be happening on July the 7th. They're going to have at least 35,000 cattle. That's going to be in Quapaw, Oklahoma over at Downstream Casino on the 7th of July. I'm going to be there collecting bids, internet bids there. Hope you guys are there too. They always have a nice free meal. A good crowd will be on hand there and a lot of high volume buyers. And if you've got yearling cattle turned out on grass, or you've got any feeder cattle in at least load lots that you would like to sell, you need to hurry up and get those consigned. I talked to Catfish over the weekend. He said they're going to be printing that catalog on Tuesday. So if you want to consign your cattle, you need to get a hold of them here today. But you can still consign right up until the last minute. You're just going to be on a supplement sheet, which is still fine. All those video sales will have a supplement sheet, and your cattle will still get promoted and advertised there. But still, if you would like to be in the regular program or in the catalog, you need to get them consigned by Tuesday, guys. Broken tools. We have a few tools that help us with commercial cattle marketing, especially at the fed cattle level. And whenever those tools do not work, it's very frustrating, and it makes it hard for people to estimate what's going to happen. Makes it hard for them to plan ahead. Makes it hard for us to figure things out, and it holds our market back more than anything. Well, one of those tools is severely broken. It's your live cattle contract. You look at your June live cattle contract. We're at the very tail end of June right here. That contract is absolutely mature, and that mature contract ended the week this past week $9.15 under what your weighted average is in your 5-area feeding region up through Thursday. And it's not going to change. There wasn't enough trade, I don't believe, to change it. It may go up a cent or two and be even worse, but that's ridiculous. You know, that's what a futures market is. That's why people got in there and traded that, is because they wanted to know what the market was going to be whenever that contract matured. Well, you're not going to get too much complaint from your hedged feeder, because that's a $9 basis to put in their pocket. If it's a Northern Plains or a Midwestern feeder where they have a lot of negotiated trade, that could be as much as a $14 plus basis to put in the pocket if you go to the top price there, which they're not going to complain about that. And we think, well, what's the big problem there? Well, it keeps our market under wraps, guys. Keeps our market pushed down all the time whenever we can't get it right. Now, if your board was trading at a premium to what cash was, people would deliver cattle and then it would suck it back down and get it just right. Well, we did see deliveries this past week because we had a feeder in the Southern Plains having a hard time getting his cattle marketed, and he decided to deliver some cattle just under 138, which was where the board was at early in the week, this past week. And then what happened? It sucked the board down even more. How does that work? It scared off all your longs. We don't have very many longs in the industry anyway, because we're always hedging, so we're always on the short side. You know, somebody in Chicago or somebody investing somewhere, they don't want a bunch of fat cattle delivered on them in Tulia, Texas in 100-degree heat. They don't know what to do with them. Even if they do know what to do with them, likely it will be tough to get those cattle back on feed. And so ended up taking many of those cattle going to be carcass delivery, it sounds like. But still, when you deliver, which we're trading at such a big spread there, and the South is trading so much farther back from what the North is trading, it's just broken. And it keeps your market under wraps all the time. This market is under enough pressure as it is to not be able to realize whenever times are good that we need to gain some ground. And what else is wrong in our broken tools? Well, our cattle on feed reports were telling us, for the last 6-8 months, oh my gosh, we had just as much or more cattle on feed as the previous year. So we thought, gosh, we're going to hit a big wall of cattle because we didn't have many places to turn cattle out over the winter. So we put cattle on feed at a lighter weight back in the fall. We saw those numbers of cattle being placed on feed as light calves. And then we thought, my gosh, we're going to have so many cattle on feed. Well, we've got here in the early part of the summer, and we're short of cattle in the northern plains and in the Midwest. Market ready finished cattle. So we weren't able to fully realize that bullish fundamental there, because we had to get well into them before packers tipped their hands and showed that they were so short bought. But man, we've gained ground here the last couple of weeks here. And we had another cattle on feed report on Friday. If you guys have any faith in it at all, or pay any attention to it at all, I'll give you the results of that cattle on feed report. Your on feed inventories as of June 1st, we had a guesstimate from your average of the analysts that put in there at 101.5. Well, your actual come out at 101.2. So that's pretty close. That's going to be a neutral kind of a report. It's not going to really change things one way or the other. But that 101.2 that we saw come out, those totals are going to be the largest June 1 inventories since they started that series of report in 1996. Placements, your guesses were 99.7. Your actuals come out to be 97.8, so lighter number of cattle put on feed. Your marketings during May come out to be 103, or the guess was 103, and your actual come out to be 102.3, so not quite as aggressive. That'll pretty much offset everything, and it should be a very neutral report. So does that change anything? It changes things because we don't believe that report anymore. We saw a 1996 record being broke, going back that far. No telling how far it would have went back before that, because that's when the series began of collecting information like this. And we saw that that's the most cattle we ever had on feed in June 1st. We don't have enough market-ready cattle available in Iowa especially, and in Nebraska also. You're scrambling for those top grading cattle that they make in the northern plains right now. Your packers are. Well, we need to look at how we're collecting that information, the differences in that we're collecting that information. A friend of mine, Jim Akers, big cattle marketer out in Kentucky, we were texting back and forth, and he said, the technology is so much better now. Are we doing a better job of getting those numbers reported to us than we did back in the 90s? We don't have as many small feeders as we did back in those days because our smaller independent cattle feeders are dropping off because it's not profitable enough for them, and they can't compete with the big corporate feed yards. For one reason, it's hard to negotiate, especially in the southern plains. We don't see enough negotiation to do anything. I've been pushing Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. I think we need to preserve what little negotiation we have and start cranking it up a little bit. Then maybe the guys in the southern plains would be able to negotiate higher prices like the guys in the Midwest are. But, we also need to look at other disappearance, which we don't usually look at that too much. But, we see the on-feed totals, we see the placements, we see the marketings, and then it has that other number, other disappearance. Where'd those cattle go? Well, all of a sudden, the other disappearance is 113%. So they're making up for the bobble that they made because those cattle aren't there. We're not seeing them out there right now. But I think that should be a little more transparent how we do that, and then maybe the average of the analysts they could make a better guess at where we're at, and this thing wouldn't jolt us all the time. And I'll say it again: why we have to pull the covers back once a month, and show that with a drum roll, and then brace for the market. I don't understand why we have to do that. Why can't we make more things transparent, where we don't have to deal with that kind of stuff? Let's talk about your board for last week on cattle. June live cattle futures. Of course, Monday was that holiday, that new holiday we got that everybody enjoyed. Tuesday was down 20. Wednesday was down $1.70. Thursday down 87. Friday back up 10 cents with a little bit of profit taking. But why was it all down whenever we have positive fundamentals? Your packers were scrambling for cattle, and there's not enough ripe ones out there. It's because they were running off from being delivered upon. They were running off in that August contract too. But June live cattle ended the week at 135.35, down 267 for the week. August ended the week at 133.37, down 320 for the week. Feeder cattle, Monday was a holiday. You're talking about your August contract. Tuesday was up 235. Wednesday was down 215. Thursday was up 170. Friday down 235. I mean, your buyers were scrambling for yearling feeder cattle in your auctions, but we saw this real volatile trade on your board. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But August feeder cattle ended the week 172.50, down 45 cents. September ended up 27 cents at 175.07. Corn, Chicago Board of Trade ended the week at 7.50 and a quarter, down 34 and a quarter cent. And we didn't see an uptrend in feeder cattle futures. Are you kidding me? Beans, 16.10 and three quarters, where it ended the week last week, down 91 and a quarter. And must be harvest time on wheat. Kansas City hard red winter wheat ended the week down at 112 and a half cents. Goodness, down 992 and a half. My goodness, so you guys been planning on that big crop or big price for your crop, and it's been so dry, hard to get that. Now that you're harvesting, it goes away. But if you hadn't already sold a lot of that crop, you probably needed to have your head examined. Let's talk about your fat cattle trade. Up through Thursday last week, 79,700 head negotiated in your 5-area feeding region. Pretty decent. Live sales steers and heifers 136 to 150. That's exactly the same price spread that they had the previous week. $14 direct fed cattle price range there. It's unbelievable. Weighted average on live steers in your 5-area feeding region 144.50. That was up 77 cents, and your board ended the week with June live cattle futures losing 267 right here whenever it's mature. Doesn't make sense, doesn't work. Broken tools. Dress trade, steers and heifers last week 230 to 240. That was $3 to $4 better. Weighted average on dress steers 234.91, up 518. Little bit of trade on Friday. Iowa had 900 head confirmed on Friday with live prices from 146 to 150. We never did see that 151 or 152 FOB or picked up. We did see some that was put in under delivered there, but had several people reporting that they thought 151 or 152 took place out there, but not FOB where we've established the market. Nebraska had just a couple hundred head at 146 trade. Box beef cutout values down pretty hard on choice, especially this time of year, guys. We like that choice stuff on our grills. But your weighted average on all of last week's sales, choice cuts 266.06, down 227. Your end of the week Friday afternoon trade was a little bit lower than that, a little over $1 lower. Your select weighted average on all of last week's sales, 245.81, down 57 cents. Your Friday afternoon late trade was about 80 cents under that. And we saw a Choice Select spread on your weighted average of all of last week, just over $20, and decent reporting of 595 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. But that's just a really small amount of the trade that actually takes place. We don't get to see most of it because it's done through formula trades on the back end there or way out front contracts. Your slaughter for last week, 666,000 with only 46,000 on Saturday. That was kind of disappointing. But that 666,000 was 1,000 less than last week, 6,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DB auction. Ended the week last week at 165.16. That was up 232. And then your big sales that had enough cattle, because a lot of our sales are running really light receipts right now, but those that had enough feeder cattle to test the market were $2 to $8 higher. One sale there late in the week on Saturday actually was Fort Scott, Kansas. Good sale there, nearly 2,000 head of cattle there, not counting the cows, didn't see those. But look at this automated marker report from Cattle Market Central. You look at the best tested weights there in the heavy end. They had a lot of loads of yearling steers there. 475 head of 8-weight steers averaged 856 at 169.93. Your weighted average price, that was extremely sharply higher than the smaller sale that they had the previous week, as you can see. But 329 head of 9-weight steers averaged 943, the weighted average price of 160.79. That was up sharply also. Heifers, 356 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 763, the weighted average price of 153.83, about steady with those 7-weight heifers they had the previous week. Stick-out sale in Fort Scott, Kansas, 135 head of 849-pound steers bring 174.50. Wow. Lexington, Nebraska had a big sale on Friday, 2,800 head. The market was not really comparable with the last sale that they had there, but they did have over 1,000 head of 9-weight feeder steers, and they were all in the heavy 9s, weighing 950 to 1,000 pounds. They averaged 982 with a weighted average price of 164.81. Talk about some individual quotes. How about Eastern Missouri Commission Company in Bowling Green, Missouri? That's right on the Illinois line, guys. Good friends of mine there. 56 head, 921-pound steers bring $163. Burwell Livestock Market in Burwell, Nebraska sells 170 head of 1,028-pound steers at 157.25. But the best quote that I saw anywhere late last week come out of Lexington, Nebraska there. 280 head, 970-pound steers topped your National Beef Wire top quote of the day at 166.85. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.